Welcome to the Church of St. Peter in Oundle, Northamptonshire. Oundle is an attractive ironstone town whose twin glories are its school and its church. The steeple of the latter rises spectacularly above the lanes and alleys of old Oundle. If Northampton steeples were categorised like those of Somerset, Oundle would be the Wells School, that is, with vertical elements dominating horizontal. The composition is of tower rising to battlements, concealing the shift to spire, the whole soaring upwards in a continuous thrust. The buttresses cling tight to the corners, while the bell openings are elongated and slender. The needle's spire has snail crockets climbing its angles and 3 tiers of lucans, a complete 14th century masterpiece, seldom bettered by the later architects of Perpendicular. St. Wilfrid, who died in Oundle on the 12th of October 709, founded a monastery here. His church in Oundle seems to have been rebuilt by Athwald, Bishop of Winchester in the 10th century, and to have become the parish church of Oundle. That was in Saxon times. However, no part of the existing building is older than the 12th century. A carved Saxon stone has been mounted below the west window in the tower, and this may have come from a screen in the original church. In the room above the south porch, 2 Anglo-Saxon fragments with interlace, probably from a coffin lid, can be seen. Above the doorway there are 3 small alcoves. This is where 3 stone statues may have rested, or where it was planned to have them. The goodly south porch was built in 1485 by a merchant of the town. It is of the Perpendicular style of architecture, which closed the era of English Gothic. With the exception of the vestry and the kitchen, it's the most recent part of the building. We enter through a magnificent porch to find, a rather dull interior. Glass doors were added in 2013. The church is essentially decorated, one of the arcade stops having a modern head of a bishop in national health glasses. There are 16 branches to the chandelier hanging from the roof above the nave altar. The chandelier was donated by a Mr. Edward Bodell in 1687. A monument to John Shillybeer, headmaster of Oundle Grammar School and rector of the parish. Oundle Grammar School was probably Laxton Grammar School. William Laxton was the Lord Mayor of London in 1544. If you look at the rosettes at the top of the monument, you will see that some of them have funny faces, which suggests that the stonemason did not think so kindly of John Shillybeer. The lectern here dates from the Reformation and is one of about 40 surviving examples of this 1400s design. The claws are missing and marks, thought to be sword marks, can be seen where they were removed by Cromwell's men before they threw it into the River Nene. It was recovered during dredging operations in the 19th century. This is the church bier. In the early Middle Ages, after death, the body was sewn in a linen shroud, and later, by order of the Parliament, a woolen shroud had to be used. The body, wrapped in its shroud, was put on a wooden stretcher, this bier, to be carried to the place of burial. However, when the sight of a shrouded body passing through the streets was no longer acceptable, the shrouded body was placed in a wooden box, which we now call a coffin. This was then placed on the bier. However, this box was used time and time again. The parish coffin was kept in the church and used whenever necessary until fashions changed and each body had its own coffin, as we have today. Until the foundation of town cemeteries in the mid-1800s, bodies were buried in churchyards and the coffin carried on men's shoulders. The town cemeteries were often on the edge of a town and too far to carry a coffin. It was at this time that wheeled biers came into use. The pulpit looks like it's been taken straight out of a fairground. There are 83 stars, which may have been the emblem of St. Wilfrid. Very faint remains of medieval paintings can be seen on the north arch to the chancel. There's a superb decorated window in the usual place for such insertions, the south aisle, but the modern placing of the altar breaks up the geometry of the interior and cuts off the chancel. Behind the altar is a Victorian reredos showing the Last Supper. Judas is sitting in the front of the table on the right. He is clutching a small bag which probably holds the 30 pieces of silver. William Lorange died 1628. He had 10 children, 5 boys and 5 girls. The font is late, probably from the early 18th century. It doesn't possess a separate bowl. Thank you for watching this film of St. Peter's Church in Oundle, Northamptonshire.